I have said in many videos that the Democrats are going to have to stay away from topics of the economy in the 2020 election. And it just gets worse and worse for them. Not only are they infighting, but now the economy improves again. 273,000 new jobs were created, and unemployment is at a 50-year low. And the 273,000 new jobs is way more than what they had predicted would be added to the economy. So let's read this. Donald Trump boasted in a tweet, jobs, jobs, jobs. Yes, he did, as he has every right to. As new figures showed, hiring in the United States jumped in February as employers added 273,000 new jobs. He celebrated the apparent evidence that the economy was in strong shape before the certain virus began to sweep through the nation and said in the Oval Office that the figures were shocking. The job numbers are incredible, he said, while signing an $8.3 billion emergency bill for that virus. The Labor Department said Friday that the unemployment rate fell to 3.5% last month, matching a 50-year low, down from 3.6% in January. And I know those tenths of a percent don't sound like a lot on paper, but in reality, when you're talking amongst millions, that tenth of a percent is huge. That's a lot of new jobs. That's low employment. That's a lot of new taxpayers. That's a lot of people that are coming off of, hopefully anyways, public assistance. That's what I did. I was homeless, and then I did end up getting on public assistance, and I was on it for what it was meant for, a step up. As soon as I was self-sufficient, I told them, take these food stamps, take these things, and I don't need them anymore. The monthly job gain comes from a survey of payrolls in the second week of February, predating the viral outbreak. So far, there are few signs that the job market has been affected by this outbreak, but most economists expect hiring to slow in the coming months, which it will, obviously it will. It'll wax and wane. Wage growth slowed slightly in February, rising 3% compared with a year earlier, down from a 3.1% year-over-year average gain in January. Paychecks have grown at a 3% pace or higher for more than a year and more than a year and a half, but have slowed since reaching 3.5% last summer. The government on Friday also upgraded its estimate of job growth in December and January by a combined 85,000 more than it had previously reported. Over the past 3 months, U.S. employers have added 243,000 jobs, the best quarter pace since September of 2016. That is nuts. That is crazy. So what are the Democrats going to do? You're gonna seriously, in an election year, shy away from topics of the economy? I mean, you can't throw the economy in Trump's face because Trump will be able to use it as a weapon against you, and it'll make you look like a fool, whoever the nominee is. So what are you going to do? Unseasonably warm weather in February likely boosted hiring in the construction industry, which added 42,000 jobs, and hotels and restaurants, which gained nearly 50,000. I just did a video on global warming, doing away with our coastal lines, but maybe we should ask for more global warming to up the tourist industry and construction industry. I don't know. That's absurd. That's absurd. I know. I'm being absurd. Manufacturing added 15,000 new jobs, which probably won't be replicated in the coming months because of supply chain disruptions in China. Or if we're smart, we use this as an example of, hey, why is our supply chain so embedded in what China does? Why not start manufacturing things here and add new jobs, adding new manufacturing jobs here? Let's manufacture things here. I mean, obviously, this should open our eyes. We can't be so reliant on China for our products. That's absurd. Last month's totals include 7,000 temporary census jobs to help compile the 2020 count. If employers were to start slashing jobs as a consequence of this particular outbreak, it could significantly escalate the economic damage. For that reason, a range of job market barometers will provide some of the most vital signs about how the economy is withstanding this outbreak's impact. And that is true. Over time, if the outbreak does outbreak here in the U.S., then it will impact our job market drastically. I mean, how can it not? But one thing that I just don't understand is why are we not opening our eyes and saying this whole thing is letting us realize that we cannot rely on our manufacturing to be in China. We just can't do it. If we become completely reliant on them, and let's say that they get angry at us and they just stop selling us anything, what kind of a disaster would that cause here? Our economy would tank. We can't have that. This should open our eyes to say we need to save our economy and have a buffer and at least start manufacturing a larger portion of what we use here in the States. Be a little more self-reliant. I mean, good Lord. To make surfboards, they cut the trees down here and they send them over there. They manufacture them over there and then they bring them back over here because it's cheaper to cut them here, send them all the way over there, make them, manufacture them, paint them, and then ship them back here. Man, that's crazy. Widespread layoffs can transform slowdowns in just one or two sectors. The travel industry, say, or manufacturing. The travel industry will be hit hard into a full-blown downturn for the overall economy because everything is linked. When workers lose jobs and pay, they typically cut spending. Of course, obviously, if you're making less money, you're going to cut spending as much as you can. Their friends and relatives who are still employed grow anxious about their own jobs and wary of spending freely, a cycle that can trigger further job cuts. So long as monthly job gains remain above 100,000 or so, the unemployment rate should stay low, and the economy may be able to avoid a downturn. If the monthly pace were to sink below that level for a sustained period, joblessness would likely rise. It's what do you call it? Confidence and no confidence. It's the same thing that the stock markets use. That's why it waxes and wanes. If you have zero confidence, you're not spending money. Same thing goes with businesses. If businesses aren't spending money, they're not expanding. If they're not expanding, they're either staying the same and they are holding their investments and their money waiting to see what happens, or they're actually laying off because they're afraid that, well, their profit margins are going to get cut into and they want to get rid of some employees. Before the viral outbreak struck China, shutting factories and causing shortages of parts and final products for the U.S. manufacturers and retailers, the economy was expanding at a steady pace. Annual growth was 2.1% in the final 3 months of last year. Yeah, and it's going to be far sweeping. I mean, it's going to be far sweeping. There's nothing we can do about it. It's done. This particular outbreak is going to cause some sort of, economic downturn, probably. If we can keep it low, then it probably won't. But still, a 50-year low of unemployment, that's a good touting point, and the president has every right to play it up. No, I don't support Trump. I'm not against Trump. I support rule of law, and hey, if this is something that he can tout about, that he can say, hey, look, this is what I did. Man, what are the Democrats going to do? I don't get it. Democrats, quit fighting amongst yourselves, and I don't know. Is there any hope for the Democratic Party? I don't think so. Anyways, that's what I got for you this one. I love you guys. Stay informed, and I'll see you on the next one.